Hey everyone, my name is Anna. Welcome to my channel. This video is part 3 in the series INFP and Creativity, in which I'm exploring the creative potential that lives at the heart of our lives and how we as INFPs can develop a really powerful relationship with that creative energy. In part 3, I want to explore the topic of choosing and how choosing is a creative act with a creative potential. So choosing is when we select something based on a preference or a desire. What I want to explore is how choosing, even though it may appear to be somewhat of a restrictive or a conclusive gesture, is actually, from my perception, an act that creates movement and direction and also creates liberation and the release of potential. I also want to look at what may be some of the strengths and the struggles that the INFP type in particular face around the act of choosing. So firstly, although choosing narrows us down to a particular selection, it also simultaneously initiates movement and direction. Because in the moment before choosing, we're in a type of limbo or a no man's land. But the moment we choose, we are propelling or aligning our energy and our attention in a very specific direction. Every day of our existence, we are moving through our lives based on the thousands of acts of choosing that we make throughout the day, weaving and creating our lives directly from those thousands of acts of choosing. And any specific project within our life is created by the thousands of acts of choosing that are made within that project. Let's say I'm making a show, which begins when I make the initial choice to make it. Now my energy and my attention start moving in the direction of this show. And every time I make a choice within the creative process, it's creating movement and progress within the project. Many of the choices made during the creative process may not even end up in the final product, but they act as stepping stones to move and advance within the process. Ideally, I end up with creative choices that produce a quality end result. But during the process of creating the show, the momentum, the movement created by all those acts of choosing is arguably more important than the choices themselves, because without those acts of choosing, there's no action or direction within the process. So choosing creates movement and direction, but choosing also creates liberation or release of potential. When we choose, we're creating a limitation in the sense that we're selecting one thing over another, but we are also igniting a liberation because we can now release the potential within that which we chose. Like if you pick a piece of fruit, you choose to eat that fruit, you are now releasing and liberating all the nourishment that's contained within it. Before choosing to eat it, that nourishment potential is latent within the fruit. So the act of choosing liberates a potential, but it also releases a chain reaction of new possible choices. Like when you eat the fruit and you release its nourishment, you now have a new source of energy that you can choose to use in numerous ways. So there's an entire range of choices that grow from that initial act of choosing. This can be really helpful to remember at times when we feel stuck or in limbo creatively. The simple act of jumping into choosing can liberate all kinds of latent possibilities and potentials. Now, when it comes to the INFP personality type and our strengths and weaknesses in regards to the act of choosing, I think as always, where we have a lot of clarity and power is with our internal world, in the sense that it is generally easy for us to select and decide based on our internal compass of what feels aligned for us or what feels like it belongs with us. So it would be easy for us to say something like, yeah, that's definitely for me, or no way, that's definitely not for me, and make choices based on our internal knowing of ourselves. But with our secondary function being extroverted intuition, which creates a kind of radar for a wide view of external options, this may be where we begin to falter or have trouble making specific selections. Because in the act of choosing, there's an initial sense of limitation. We may hold back or stay in limbo because we have an inclination to be inclusive of the wide range of possibilities that we are able to perceive and that we have a desire to explore. For example, as a dancer, it's incredibly easy for me to choose flamenco dancing as my dance of choice because it's so obviously aligned with my internal truth. But on the other hand, when it comes to making choices about creating something externally, like a performance, all of a sudden the possibilities can seem so vast for me that I feel totally overwhelmed and unable to choose a direction. I think it can be really helpful for us INFPs to remember that the act of choosing is not as restrictive and conclusive as it may seem, and that when we choose, we are setting ourselves into motion, which can lead to new possibilities, and we are liberating and releasing potentials that exist within those choices. So we don't have to relinquish our exploratory nature nor our wide view of things just because we are engaging in clear choice. But instead, the act of choosing gives us more power and clarity creatively because it takes us out of limbo and puts us into movement and direction and potential and progress. Much love, INFPs. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you for part 4, which will be about focus.